Chapter 361, 1/1000th of the power of the star witnesses. Before the most critical moment, the human United Empire garrison in the Ezor star field had already arrived. A full 4 war stars, a dozen wars, and more than 7,000 standard divisions directly leaped into the galaxy. Then, he was stopped by the coalition forces of the 6 nations that were on high alert. And he didn't even have time to join up with Safivan. 4 hours later, the 4 waves of new stars projected to sweep the field, and the reinforcements helplessly abandoned the support plan and began to adhere to it. Subsequently, small fleets leapt to other corners of the galaxy, but were easily intercepted by the coalition forces of the 6 nations. Their scale is too large. What is the concept of more than 110,000 standard divisions? When ensuring the comprehensive suppression of the 2 fleets, there is sufficient troops to arrange comprehensive defense and intercept any fleet outside the galaxy. After 1 day. Attention 6th Fleet. There is a strong jump fluctuation at the 7 o'clock direction. Go and intercept it. Half an hour later, Commander Aisha smiled at several other civilized leaders of the United Fleet on the light curtain. Another human fleet was intercepted. The representative from the Xyrus Interstellar Empire nodded and said, "As far as we know, the human United Empire has a garrison in each of the 5 major star regions except for the outposts. 2 of them have arrived now. The garrison in the southernmost region cannot move lightly. Only the Central Army and the garrison in the Faust Star region have not arrived yet. The garrison in the Faust Star field is fine, but the main focus is on humanity's Central Fleet," the Aisha commander said with a confident look. The Faust Star region used to be the gap between the human base and the Bruven Star region. It had never been discovered before. Humanity had just unified these star regions for more than 20 years, so it was impossible for them to develop. The size of the garrison in that star region can be ignored. We just need to pay attention to the central government. He suddenly paused, turned back, and listened attentively. Then said in a serious and expectant tone, "Just received news that a very strong jump signal was found at the 12 o'clock position of the galaxy. Compared with the scale of the previous 2 times, it is estimated that the Central Army of the United Empire of Humanity has arrived." Without waiting for others to answer, he solemnly ordered, "The highest order of the coalition forces, the 3rd Fleet and the 4th Fleet are preparing to jump. The target location has been sent to you. Be sure to intercept the main force of the human joint fleet." He glanced at the outpost fleet that had suffered heavy losses and was almost crippled, and said in a deep voice, "Your mission is to intercept and block the human United Empire's Central Army from supporting other battlefields. Once the main force here completely destroys this fleet, we will come to support you." After speaking, he laughed again and said, "Everyone, the human United Empire is weaker than the coalition forces. We have the advantage. Now we just need to defeat any of the human United Empire's fleets to expand our advantage. Humans will definitely not be our opponents. Once we defeat the main force of the human coalition, there will be no rivals in the entire Persis arm. At that time, according to the agreement, the 6 of us will divide up the entire Persis arm. When the time comes, we will help each other and unite. Even those 2 advanced civilizations will be unable to do anything to us." After that, the command channel suddenly sounded a cheerful laughter. 2 senior commanders from the Harris Star Empire and Feroz's consortium smiled and took the task with a smile, and quickly turned and started to send troops to their fleets. A huge group of frigates gathered. A large number of aircraft carriers began to recover the space fleet, and other types of ships in the fleet began to converge according to the war form. I ordered. The Battlestar engine began to start, and all the fleet prepared to echo the jump of the Battlestar in the existing battle status. In addition, I ordered. Before the words were finished, suddenly the entire galaxy, regardless of the enemy, all the wisdom creatures looked up in a certain direction, obviously hundreds of millions of kilometers apart. But everyone can see where the void, who does not know where it suddenly begins to shake, and everything in the starry sky becomes unreal like a dream bubble. Then, at a certain moment, an indescribable ball of hot light suddenly appeared, and a super halo formed by an invisible flame quickly swept across the galaxy. The unique characteristics of the star's witnesses, the suppression of the star's witnesses, and the moment the star's witnesses come, instantly cause a 100,000 point to ignore the correction and damage dimension of all enemy ships within the current galaxy. The full attribute will be reduced by 20% in the next day, and each ship will only be hit by a dimension in 1 year. Prior to the transition of the Central Fleet, Li Qing took a step forward and took the power of the stars to the power. The restored high-dimensional fortress came to the 3D world to sweep the entire galaxy at a speed of light. The blazing ring of flame swept across the fleet in an instant. The senior leaders of the coalition forces on the war planet only felt a flash of dazzling distortion. And then, the entire universe void became much brighter at some point. No, it is not brighter. Soon the sharp eyes discovered that this was the cosmic starry sky. After the dazzling flames just swept away, there seemed to be a touch of flames that could not be seen in the entire starry sky. Unique feature of Star Witness, every second. It deals 10 points of damage to all technological creations below dark matter within the current galaxy. Ignoring corrections and damage reductions. 5 points of damage to dark matter technology ships. And 1 point of damage to dark energy technology ships. This damage doesn't seem high. Only 10 points. But 1 hour is 3,600 seconds. 24 hours a day is 86,400 seconds. 10 points per second. That is. This is? A super behemoth that was calculated in an astronomical unit came suddenly. Which looked at everyone. You should know that before the technology has not yet grasped the space. The war weapon has always been bigger and the better. From the mobile fortress to the month of the war. To the mobile battle stars. Until the star fortress. The bigger the better. However, the strongest knowledge of the civilizations is the high-level mobile battle stars. And the specifications are about tens of thousands of kilometers. The specifications of this behemoth in front of us are calculated in astronomical units. The length of an astronomical unit is 150 million kilometers. However, the specifications of this group of stars witnesses are not just a celestial unit, but a dozen astronomical units. What is the concept? It is large enough to fill some small star systems. Everyone was stunned by the sudden arrival of such a huge monster that was beyond their imagination. But they were not stunned for too long. More than 10 seconds after the invisible flame swept across, some people finally woke up from the sudden arrival of the super-huge creation measured in astronomical units. However, they found that the size of the entire fleet had shrunk tenfold in an instant. Hundreds of thousands of impact damage of injury reduction and correction can directly kill any destroyer and frigates and space fighters. The proportion of these two types of warships in the fleet is very large. A standard division has between 200,000 and 250,000 frigates and destroyers. And the remaining cruisers and battleships add up to at least 25,000 and at most 30,000. A size difference of up to 10 times. The reason why it was not discovered for the first time was because the type of damage of Galway impact was very strange. At the moment when the Star Witnesses descended, high-dimensional forces swept across, directly smashing the huge group of frigates into particles, leaving no wreckage. In other words, after the high-dimensional impact swept through, the entire galaxy's 110,000 standard divisions and hundreds of millions of frigates and destroyers were instantly turned into powder and scattered into the starry sky. Then, higher-dimensional beings descended into the real universe and destroyed cosmic matter. Wherever the Star Witnesses are, all hostile ships within the galaxy are constantly being tortured by high-dimensional forces. However, the coalition forces of the 6 nations were in no mood to pay attention to this at the moment. They had been frightened by the sudden appearance of this huge high-dimensional fortress that was several tenths the size of the entire galaxy, and were currently in intense negotiations. Well, it is frightened to be precise, which will be sure how to run. There was no need to discuss it. They all tacitly agreed to avoid the attack first. But when they quickly made the decision and gave the order, they discovered in despair that the fleet could not jump. The witnesses of the stars have come. And the fortress halo compressed by civilized artifacts is certainly coming in the galaxy. And then the entire fleet is chaotic. Of course, Li Qing would not stop because of their fear and confusion. As soon as the witnesses of the stars arrived, he immediately ordered all the weapons that had been repaired in the high-dimensional fortress to fire at the nearest fleet that could be reached. At the same time, several final weapons that have been repaired by Galway Fortress have also begun to fill energy. The first to open the fire is the dimension of the light beam. This stuff can create a temporary wormhole and emit a powerful and horrible wiper beam. Because it is launched through a temporary wormhole, it can hit targets across galaxies. In just 15 minutes, a huge wormhole appeared on the surface of the void on the surface of the stars witnesses. And then a beam that could not be seen by the naked eye passed through the wormhole. In the next second, a mobile battle star in the Central Coalition striker in the center of the galaxy was suddenly shocked. In the next second, the battle star thick shield was penetrated on the spot. The beam-shaped field that could not be described would penetrate the thick armor of the battle star and run out of the battle star. From a distance, it was the stars that were not described as a beam that could not be described as a bombardment. Then, it was continuously exploded. It has always passed through the heart. And the core power furnace inside the battle star broke. And naturally it was gone. After the erasing beam in this dimension, thousands of divine judgment lights appeared across the sky, exploding into the battlefield thousands of high-energy ion light balls with a diameter of 10,000 kilometers. Every 10 gods react to the light. And a total of 640 light balls with a diameter of 10,000 kilometers cover the fleet. Indescribable power swept across the battlefield. And the area within millions of kilometers turned into daylight on the spot. And the dazzling light obscured everything. When the light slowly disappeared, in addition to the wreckage of the warships in the day, only a small amount of mobile war stars floated in the void. A wave of clear field. Then, a total of 36,600 gates of 366,366 distorted stars in a total of 366 districts, each with a group of 2,000. Beams of light shot across the starry sky, and in an instant, 18 mobile fortresses of different sizes were shattered on the spot. Li Qing calculated the numbers accurately, ensuring that the enemy would be killed instantly in one round of concentrated fire, without the need for additional finishing blows. Twisting star guns are equivalent to the light of the end. It only takes 15 minutes to launch. It can determine that the 18-size mobile fortress can be determined in one round, which is extremely terrible to threaten on the large-scale battlefield. But that's not the point. The point is that there are two final weapons that have not opened the fire. At the 40th minute after the star witnesses arrived, the ultimate weapon, the light of dimensional contraction and expansion, was finally ready to be charged. A beam that could not be seen by the naked eye shot, and the lonely flew out of hundreds of millions of kilometers appeared in the center of the coalition striker fleet. Then it exploded in front of the horrified gazes of many coalition generals with strong enough psychic power. And then, a layer of intangible wave pattern is open with the explosive location. Where the ripples pass, the space falls from 3 dimensions to 2-dimensional. And a lifelike starry sky muzzle is quickly shaped with the invisible wave pattern. The speed of spatial dimensionality reduction is the speed of light. If your speed can exceed that of light, you can escape from this area before the dimensionality reduction occurs. But unfortunately, under the suppression of the high-dimensional fortress, they could not surpass the speed of light. Even though there were several divine generals in the coalition, none of them had the ability to forcibly teleport like Cybertron. So they could only watch as the invisible threat quickly engulfed them from far away. The speed of light is 300,000 kilometers per second, which is just a blink of an eye for mortals. But the scale of light is so slow in the scale of the universe. When the last 55 minutes came, before the Galway fortress projection was about to disappear, the light contraction light had not finished his scheduled distance. At this time, the light of Li Qing at the beginning of the dimension at the beginning of the moment has been filled for nearly an hour. According to the latest repair status of the high-dimensional fortress, the dimensional convergence light can cover a 3-dimensional range of 10 million kilometers in diameter after charging for 1 hour. The goal is the 2 fleets that the 6 nations' allied forces are preparing to intercept the main force of the human Central Army. When the dimensional convergence light that had been accumulating energy for a long time was emitted, from the perspective of the high-dimensional universe, a transparent distorted sphere with a diameter of 1,000 kilometers appeared out of thin air in the cold starry sky. And then the transparent distorted sphere was cut off like a Ctrl+Alt+ a screenshot, and quickly converged into a small ball and disappeared. After completing all this, the high-dimensional fortress disappeared just as it had suddenly appeared out of thin air an hour ago. The super-huge form that occupies the entire galaxy of the entire galaxy's gravitational well disappeared instantly, as if everything that just happened was a phantom. However, the remnants of the 6-nation alliance, who were unable to escape and had to endure the ravages of the high-dimensional fortress in just 1 hour, can prove that this was not an illusion, but a cruel reality. In just 1 hour, not even a dream time, but Li Qing easily defeated the coalition forces of the 6 nations with less than 1/1000th of the power of the high-dimensional fortress. A total of 33 mobile war stars, 110,000 standard division. After an hour, there are only 7 mobile war stars, no standard division of about 40,000. And the following ships are not left, even if the high-dimensional impact of the Star Witness's arrival did not kill them instantly. The continuous damage of 10 points per second for the next hour would be enough to wipe out all warships below the cruiser level. Chapter 362, Advancement to the Advanced Civilization Human Star Clan. When the Central Army fleet officially jumped over, the battle in the galaxy had ended. Without the suppression of the Galway fortress, the residues of the Six Kingdoms forces were gathered around 10 war stars and forcibly leaped away. However, the problem was not big. Li Qing didn't even have the idea of chasing, but began to assemble the fleet formed after the real body came. Anyway, their main force has been destroyed in this wave, and the 6 civilizations have definitely been seriously injured, especially the 3 small level 5 civilizations in the Ezor star field, which suffered heavy losses. The subsequent strategic advantage has shifted from them to themselves. Hit slowly and pile it up smoothly all the way. However, before the fleet was reorganized, the Empire received surrender envoys sent by the 3 small civilizations. It is not to say that it is directly surrendered, or it is secretly loyal to the human joint empire. When the Empire army comes, it will surrender immediately. Obviously, seeing that the 6 Kingdoms forces were beaten on the spot, these 3 civilizations in the star domain in the Alcitra area were afraid of it. But they were afraid that the surrender would be cleared on the spot by other civilizations. They wanted to secretly loyalty. When humans attacked the 3 powerful civilizations, they surrendered. I can only say that the calculation is very good, but that's just a good play. Li Qing did not meet them at all and directly expelled the delegation. The unified British Xianxian arm is the main strategy of civilization. This unity is a complete rule, not a mediocre situation. It would be fine if we surrendered before the war started, but to surrender now that we are about to lose is like dreaming. But Li Qing's strategic plan was not implemented as expected, because on the 4th day after his coming, he suddenly felt what he raised, and then there was an automatic light curtain that he could only see in front of him, and an option appeared on it. The United Human Empire has met all the conditions for advancement to an advanced civilization. Please select your civilization trends, political system, and national policy within 1 month. If you exceed this time, the existing trends and political system will be used as the default. In other words, in 1 month, human civilization will have to be promoted to an advanced civilization. Well, stop the offensive. But the fleet was not dispatched back. It was just a matter of waiting for a while. After being promoted to a higher civilization, it can continue fighting. The thoughts of civilization refer to the main ideological trends of all individuals in the entire civilization, such as equality, peace, materialism, idealism, xenophobia, militarism, etc. For example, the thoughts of Fiano's Restoration Empire are extremely xenophobic, and the thoughts of the Ida leaders are extreme materialism. Among them, equality and authority are opposite. Peace and the militarism are opposite. The ideal and materialism are also opposite. Pro-foreignism and xenophobia are even more contradictory. Generally speaking, a civilization can have multiple thoughts, but there will not be opposing thoughts. For example, if the main body of a civilization is extremely xenophobic, it may have militaristic, idealistic or materialistic ideas, or equality, or even peace ideas, but it is impossible for it to have pro-foreign ideas. Xenophobia and peace are not in conflict. This kind of civilization is very xenophobic, but it has no interest in external aggression and expansion. It just wants to stay at home and focus on farming and development. As for the choice of ideology after the promotion of the United Human Empire, Li Qing did not change it after considering it for a while, but continued to use extreme militarism, the main ideology of the United Human Empire. Originally, it also included xenophobia, but after being promoted to a higher civilization, the thoughts need to be absolutely unified. Only one extreme thought can be chosen, and other thoughts cannot be combined. In fact, xenophobia and militarism are similar. The main reason is that there is already an extremely xenophobic advanced civilization in the Milky Way. If humans choose extreme xenophobia to advance, it will easily arouse hostility from the Fianith Restoration Empire. In addition, when extreme xenophobes need to find younger brothers to serve as cannon fodder in the future, conventional civilizations will not trust them very much. Just like the current battle between the Faru Revitalization Empire and the instructors of Ida. If the Fiona Revival Empire isn't extremely close to high civilization, I believe that 9 civilizations will choose to invest in the pro-villain. As for the political system, this is also an easy choice. Li Qing chose the autocratic presidential system. This is a variant of the imperial system in which the head of state serves for life. The next head of state is required by the internal forces of civilization, or it is designated by the head of state. The former is still democratic, while the latter is not much different from the imperial system. The specific type depends mainly on the strength and authority of the incumbent head of state. The authority is sufficient to designate the next head of state. There is not enough authority, so let everyone choose the next head of state. The last national policy is the national policy of the two high civilizations. One is that all high-level civilizations have universal national policies. The name is high-level civilization. National policy, advanced civilization. Effect, all output of civilization plus 50%. Civilized construction speed plus 100%. The other is a trend of thought that can only be chosen by advanced civilizations with extreme militaristic main thought, called super navy. National policy, super navy. Effect, civilized ship construction speed is plus 200%. The base attribute of the ship is plus 20%. The ship speed is plus 20%. The range is plus 20%. The transition range is plus 200%. And the transition penetration strength plus 2. In addition, there are 2 additional national policy slots for promoting higher civilizations, which can reselect 2 new national policies. It is worth a year that the national policy that can be selected will be selected from the original national policy of the human beings and the national policy that all Shanghai lords once owned. Li Qing did not give this point too much thought and directly used the original 2 national policies, descendants of light and seeds of life. There is no need to consider this. Strictly speaking, these 2 national policies are stronger than the 2 national policies proposed by higher civilizations. After the light, the descent is related to the future of human beings. The seeds of life are related to the growth of human civilization. If any civilization wants to grow, it needs more life planets to accommodate more people. The seeds of life can be converted into a livable planet. After making his choice, Li Qing ordered the fleet to prepare according to the original war plan and return to the capital of the United Human Empire. Next, the civilization was promoted, and he had to return to the capital. Through the power of the universe in the palm, it appeared directly in the human capital of the Emperor's star realm through tens of thousands of light years, and then summoned all members of the Human United Empire to hold a veteran meeting. Thinking, extreme militarium, political system, dictatorship, national focus, advanced civilization. Many congressmen were stunned when they saw the scene. And then, they were shocked and puzzled. Defense Minister Xiao Bieli looked up at Li Qing and asked in confusion, "Your Excellency, the head of state, can we be promoted to an advanced civilization now?" Li Qing nodded. "Yes. Just wait for us to announce it." Almost everyone was stunned and at a loss. But there are also a lot of face on the face. Don't blame them, because the news is indeed suddenly. The popularity of the whole population is a necessary procedure for promoting higher civilizations. They all know. But they know that the other must be fully grasped by the 6th-level dark matter technology. Li Qing mastered the complete 6th-level dark material technology. And Liao Liao knew that he had never told others. And the Lord of the Shanghai and the army did not know. He relied on his powerful strength, not dark matter technology, to forcibly unify the United Human Empire. All outsiders knew was that he obtained a mother chip of the dark matter dreadnought. At this time, Xiao Bieli stood up, with a little bit on his face. And there was another surprise, and asked, "Your Excellency President Li Qing, are you saying that you have mastered the complete dark matter technology?" "It's us." Li Qing smiled and nodded, saying, "I have already mastered the complete dark matter technology a long time ago. The only thing left for me to advance to a higher civilization is the ascension of all people. Now I have completed the unification of human civilization and the genetic ascension of all people. A few days ago, I have determined the thoughts, political system, and national policy of human civilization. Now I just need to announce it to the entire galaxy." Xiao Bieli swallowed, and his face shocked and surprised. Human beings are promoted to high civilization. This is something he imagined only by dreaming. I thought I didn't know how many years to achieve it. I did not expect to be realized so soon. At this moment, there are thousands of words. I have a lot to say, but I don't know what to say. After a long silence, Xiao Bieli stood up straight, clasped his hands together, bowed earnestly to Li Qing, and then stood up after a few seconds, saying solemnly, "Here I represent all members of human civilization, representing the predecessors who died for the existence of human civilization, to express your gratitude and recognition that you will be the most controversial high head of human civilization." After he said, the veterans in the venue had reacted, and he bent down to him. "On behalf of all members of human civilization and the ancestors who died for the existence of human civilization, I would like to express my gratitude and recognition to you. Your Excellency Li Qing will be the undisputed supreme leader of human civilization." Li Yongcheng also clasped his fists and bowed solemnly to Li Qing. At this moment, he did not worship his grandchildren, but to express his gratitude to him on behalf of the civilization, which has nothing to do with his identity. After worshipping, got up, and looked at Li Qing, who was standing at the first, who accepted Cieli, who was in the first. He was proud. "This is the Qilin child born to my Qingheli family, and also the son of destiny for human civilization." Yu Tiangang, who looked like an old farmer, was beaming with joy and was very excited. Although Li Qing was not born in Yu, two of his wife were descendants of Yu, which was not much different from the Yu family, both of which were glory. At the head of the elders' meeting, Li Qing accepted everyone's greetings with a smile. After the greetings, he clasped his fists and returned the greeting. An hour later, a piece of news that shocked everyone in the entire human United Empire spread quickly, and spread throughout the entire civilization like a huge wave. He is headed by the senior head of the Human Union Empire to tell the galaxy. From now on, the Human United Empire has completed the necessary preparations, and is recognized by the universe. It is officially promoted to high civilization, and is renamed the Human Star. The news came, and the country was shocked. The series of system prompts that followed also shocked many people who had just woken up from the great changes in the national genetic ascension once again. In just less than a month, the entire Human United Empire underwent earth-shaking changes. First, the genetic genes are soaring, and all individuals of the entire race have been evolved, and they have far exceeding the previous physical fitness and potential. Then the Empire's main force went north to defeat the Six Kingdoms coalition forces. Then the Supreme Leader announced that human civilization had completed its destiny of ascension, and was promoted to a higher civilization. It all seemed like a dream. After seeing this national declaration, many players who knew Li Qing were only silent. Nothing to say. From a silent family, it was listed in a man in place, and then promoted to the military leader. And then, he was miraculously promoted to the Star of the Star in C. Later, it was the first time to complete human beings in the past 10,000 years. And the death of Browen, the enemy of Wanyan years. Then he completed the unification of the Human United Empire, and single-handedly led the entire population's genetic ascension. Now he has quietly completed all the preliminary preparations for advancement to a higher civilization. He can be said to have single-handedly lifted up the destiny of human civilization. Such a feat has never been seen before. At this moment, the entire human civilization, hundreds of millions of people, have nothing to say whether they know or not. No one can say a bad thing. No one dared to say a bad word. At this point, the entire civilization is completely united. The entire galaxy fell into a brief silence as human civilization announced its advancement to an advanced civilization and changed its name to the Human Star Clan. Most of the civilizations are puzzled, watching whether humans are crazy. They dare to declare that they will be promoted to high civilizations. And even the Supreme Emperor of the Lord Guafarno sent messengers to ask. But Li Qing did not respond. Nor did he explain. Just waiting quietly. As he completed his declaration, he felt something was brewing. Over time, the humans have not responded to the United Empire. The civilizations were funny about his announcement. Only when he was in whimsical behavior. But, after a month, Li Qing, who was sitting quietly for a month, suddenly looked up. At the same time, in the galaxy, all the existence of all Star Sea Lords and ordinary civilizations and high civilizations look up together, and the face is shocked. This, is it true? The recognition of the universe will. The destiny of the human star has been condensed. From now on, human civilization has been changed to Human Star, and it is officially promoted to one of the ranks of higher civilization. This disadvantage directly affected the battle that lasted for several years. However, the ones most affected were not the two advanced civilizations, but the numerous player civilizations in the galaxy. They were the ones who suffered the most. If other civilizations can also be submitted to the younger brother, there is only a complete extinction between player civilization. It turns out that everyone's strength is strong and weak. But anyway, they are all conventional civilizations, and the possibility of competing. Now human civilization has suddenly made a three-step leap from conventional civilization to advanced civilization. And the gap has widened instantly. They can't help but be afraid. Almost instantly. The leaders of most of the player civilizations came up with the idea of uniting together and nipping the human star race in the bud while it had just been promoted and had not yet grown up. They also act like this. Almost a few player civilizations began to be in secret that day. The silence did not last long. The first to send a formal diplomatic mission to humans was the Fiano Restoration Empire. The Supreme Emperor sent a formal diplomatic mission to the human star tribe. When receiving a diplomatic photo, Li Qingchang took a breath. The fact that a diplomatic mission could be dispatched was a good sign, indicating that there was room for negotiation with the Fiano Empire, and the possibility of war was relatively low. Chapter 363 Recognition of Higher Civilization. The envoy of Fianu's revival of the empire is an old acquaintance, Prince Renowan. When you met again, His Royal Highness looked quite complicated. He did not expect how long this time was that a young race that he had just been optimistic, but did not pay too much attention can now be flattened with himself. The pride of higher civilization made him feel uncomfortable. But the order from His Majesty's order made him have to rest assured that he was inherently pride, and bowed his head to Li Qing. The order of His Majesty Gao Gao, on behalf of the Farino, congratulated the human star to successfully complete his destiny. And since then, he has mastered his own destiny. Li Qing stood in front of Prince Renaud and accepted the congratulations of the Farino's rejuvenation empire and recognition. There are a large number of cameras around the reception hall, which will record the meeting from all angles, and then transmit it to all social media of the human star clan in the form of news. After Prince Renaud finished speaking, Li Qing replied with a serious face. On behalf of the human race, I would like to thank His Majesty the Supreme Emperor Noah for his congratulations. The friendship between the human race and the Fiano revived empire is as old as time. We have fought side by side long before the human race ascended to destiny. We are true comrades in arms. We have common enemies in common. The history of the human star clan is just a drop in the sea. But we are confident to help His Majesty of Norio maintain the order of the stars together. A very systematic scene. But in this occasion, every sentence is profound. Just like what he said just now. Prince Renowan, on behalf of His Majesty the Supreme Emperor Nu, recognized the status of the human star race, which means that the status of the human united empire in the galaxy has surpassed all conventional civilizations, and is officially ranked as a truly advanced civilization. Without this recognition, even if humans are already high-level civilizations at the level of the universe, they will not be recognized by mainstream civilizations in the Milky Way. The consequence of this is that other conventional civilizations have the support of other advanced civilizations, and can ignore them. If the human star wants to get their due status and prestige, they must rely on force to defeat other high civilizations. Now with the recognition of the Supreme Emperor of Nu, all of this is no longer necessary. Correspondingly, in exchange, Li Qing promised on behalf of the human star race that in future racial affairs in the galaxy, the Fiano Restoration Empire would be led, and that they would continue to fight alongside them as formal allies until the Ida Guides were defeated. To put it bluntly, the Fiano Revival Empire acknowledged the human star. From now on, the human star clan will no longer be a vassal, but an ally of Fiano. As an exchange of interests, humans will use the Fiano Revival Empire in the future, which is equivalent to a younger brother. There is no way around it. Now the only orthodoxy in the galaxy is the Fiano Restoration Empire. Although the Eldar Guides are also an advanced civilization, as losers who were once defeated by the Fianith Resurrection Empire, they now have no status in the galaxy. At least, in the eyes of the remaining higher civilizations in the galaxy. Only the Fiano Rejuvenated Empire. Correspondingly, the human star has been recognized by the Fiano Revival Empire, and the representative will also be recognized by those high civilizations. Of course, he would later need to send official envoys to those corrupted advanced civilizations to obtain formal diplomatic recognition. It is also the complicated situation of the galaxy. It happens that the two high-level civilizations are holding the battle of heaven. There is no other way for the Fiano's rejuvenation of the empire. If you don't want to push the human star to the other side, you can only admit it. Without Ida instructors, Li Qing could be sure that the Fiano Rejuvenated Empire had a probability of 99% of the human star. The galaxy is so big. Not too much high civilization. It's just like when Li Qing asked Xiao Bieli how to obtain the 6th level enhanced technology. And Xiao Bieli's answer was refusal. He didn't want to add a new Star Seed Lord to dilute their authority and status. And the same goes for advanced civilizations. Some of the flowers of politics lasted for 3 days. And finally the two sides signed several civilized treaties. The treaties stipulated the division of forces. As a new high civilization, human beings have obtained the entire Yingzhen rotation arm. Of course, this is just a matter of agreed to the area of the forces. It is recognized by major high civilizations. Whether you can get it, you need to hit yourself. This won't be a big problem. It mainly depends on recognition. Besides this, the most important point in the treaty is the military aspect. Both parties agreed that humans will have another 20 years to complete the unification of the Persis arm and find time to build ships. 20 years later, humans must send a fleet of at least 20 mobile battle stars and more than 50,000 level 6 enhanced technology divisions to participate in the battle in heaven between Fionnuo and the Ida Guides. At this point, the political status of the human race in the Milky Way has been consolidated. As for how other conventional civilizations think, Li Qing ignored it for the time being. It is not important that they do not recognize it. As long as the Fiono rejuvenated empire can recognize it, they can't help themselves anyway. According to the mother chip that Li Qing currently has, in 20 years, he will be able to accumulate more than 2,000 level 7 fearless divisions and 1,600 level 6 fearless divisions. In addition, it is worth mentioning that after human beings were promoted to high civilization, Li Qing had ordered the original military leader and Xinghai Lord to let them all the parent chips on hand. Then, all the huge number of mother chips are integrated into the pioneer database of the main body of civilization, and then used to strengthen the existing 6-class dark matter, fearless ships, and weapon mother chips. To put it bluntly, after being promoted to an advanced civilization, they no longer need level 5 technological ships and level 6 enhanced technology, and will uniformly use dark matter dreadnought ships. The proposal was quickly passed by the Senate. Although they have taken away their shipbuilding mother chips, they can directly buy dark substances and fearless ships, which is much stronger than 5-level technology and 6-level enhanced technology. Moreover, in order to unify civilization, it is necessary to take back military power. Half a year after this agenda, Li Qing had collected all the ship mother chips, and the number of collections exceeded his imagination. In addition to him, the Human United Empire also has 12 Star Sea Lords and 321 Star Navy Lords. This is more promoted by the extinction of Browen. He thought it was up to 400 or 500 mother chips, but the result was beyond his expected. And a total of 1,685 sets of complete parent chips were collected, and more than 8,000 were incomplete, of which 80% were single frightened chips. It is worth mentioning that this full set refers to the full set from frigates to battleships and supporting weapons, excluding flagships. The reason why they were able to receive so much was mainly because he promised that after forming the necessary fleet for civilization, they could have priority in configuring a full set of dreadnought ships of a certain scale, and in the future they would have priority purchasing rights in shipyards across the country. In order to build ships as quickly as possible, Li Qing built a super shipbuilding center in each of the 5 major star fields. It is composed of dozens of galaxies, with a large number of giant docks and superstructure assembly centers capable of building mobile war stars, allowing large-scale shipbuilding outside the palm-sized universe. In addition, the shipbuilding plan of the human star has been excluded from the mobile fortress, and only the mobile war star and the month of the war, as well as the conventional fearless ships. There is no other reason. It's mainly useless. This thing's durability and shield are mediocre. It can neither ignore interception interference and forcibly jump like the War Moon, nor can it withstand starbursts. It takes a lot of manpower and resources to build a mobile fortress, only to be destroyed by a starburst on the battlefield. What a waste. So many ships are fused with the weapon mother chip, and then strengthen the chip of the 6-class dark matter ship. After Li Qing spent nearly 2 months transforming and strengthening with the help of the power of the will of human star civilization, the total number of times the set of 6-level dark matter technology chips in his hand had been strengthened reached an astonishing 468 times, coupled with the original 39 times, in total 507 times. 2 batches of dreadnought ships can be built per year, which means that 1,014 standard dark matter dreadnought class divisions can be built per year. However, Although the drawings are enough, the dock is not enough. Although the total capacity of the docks in the palm-held universe is exaggerated now, it is impossible to accommodate so many ships for construction at the same time. Li Qing estimated that after deducting the capacity needed for large-scale construction of mobile war stars in the future, only about a quarter of the capacity can be built. However, once the construction of several super shipbuilding centers consisting of a large number of galaxies is completed, the construction scale can be increased by about a quarter. After waiting for a while, destroy the civilizations in the north to obtain a large number of destiny points, which can all be used to expand the internal dock of the Star Witness. In addition, he can also build a super dock array inside the universe. Anyway, there is a lot of space inside the universe in the palm. Now there are enough populations and workers in it, and there are almost endless substances, which can be started by itself. No problem. Li Qing made a decision quickly and issued orders to the negative stars inside the palm universe through the mind matrix. The rise of the human race that shocked all the civilizations in the galaxy did not last long. The human race signed a letter of credence with the Fionua Restoration Empire, confirming their status. Soon after, the human star clan sent several official delegations to the extremely pro-xenophobic advanced civilization of the Blog Ancients, the extremely idealistic advanced civilization of the Savanti Guardians, and the extremely materialistic Theodian Recorders. Guide Ida had no faction. At this time, Guide Ida himself was already an object to be eliminated by tacit consent by several advanced civilizations. The rise of the human race did not require the approval of Guide Ida. Li Qingfan lowered his posture, saying that the human star tribe only wanted to develop at ease, and did not intend to lead the galaxy politics. I didn't know if these higher civilization believers were not. Anyway, the group finally established diplomatic relations with these higher civilizations. This is equivalent to the fact that they may be unwilling in their hearts, but do not want to start a war with the human star clan again. So this is considered a tacit agreement. The human stars, who have just been promoted to the ranks of high civilizations, are not in their eyes. Mainly, Galaxy has two higher civilizations that are starting to the heavenly battle, and the situation is very complicated. If they revive the war on the human star, it will lead to more complicated the situation. Although advanced civilizations are powerful, they are not immortal and will eventually perish. There is a tacit understanding among these advanced civilizations. When one of them awakens and dominates the galaxy again, other advanced civilizations will not awaken unless necessary. This necessity generally refers to the awakening of an old enemy, the invasion of the galaxy by a powerful foreign enemy, or the birth of a new advanced civilization, which poses a threat to other decadent advanced civilizations. In a case like the birth of the human race, if there is no awakening of advanced civilizations in the galaxy, these fallen advanced civilizations will secretly evaluate the human situation and human behavior. If they feel that humans are a threat, they will awaken and kill the human race. This assessment is actually very idealistic. Generally speaking, unless there are any unexpected circumstances, the new advanced civilization will be killed in its infancy. Any normal intelligent creature would not be willing to have a new advanced civilization divide their status and authority. The history of the Milky Way is measured in billions of years, and the number of advanced civilizations that have emerged during this period is definitely more than the few that exist today. As far as Li Qing knows, there have been 20 or 30 well-known advanced civilizations in the past tens of millions of years. But now there are only 4 left. This is just what he knows. In fact, there are definitely more than 20 or 30 of them. There must be a large number of new advanced civilizations that were suppressed and killed just after being promoted and did not have the chance to leave their names. The human star race was also lucky, as they happened to encounter the war in heaven. They had also been vassals of the Fionua Restoration Empire before, and had always fought for their suzerain country with all their heart and soul. They suffered huge losses, so they had a sense of ties with the suzerain country. Coupled with his low key, the territory of the human star has not violated any high-level civilization. In order to comprehensively, it was established by the recognition of high civilization. The next step is to develop the head, wait for hundreds of thousands of years, and build a strong enough fleet to stand firm. At that time, it will be considered to be firm and can truly show your authority. Half a year later, Li Qing sent a fleet to go north to start a border line in the Tianjin star domain. According to the agreement with the advanced civilizations, the entire Perseus arm is divided into the sphere of influence of the human star clan. In theory, the first star field, the Timor star field, can also be occupied. It's just that the Kilizaka star empire of the Timor star domain is still there. Although the strength of a few times was very weak, the backup was still there. In addition, the human stars are mainly low-key now, and the demand for territory should not be too hungry, which will affect the attitude of other high civilizations. It would not be fun if other advanced civilizations felt that the human race was too aggressive and threatening. Although the letter of credence has been signed, they may tear up the letter of credence at any time and destroy the human race before humans have the ability to protect themselves. Although Li Qing now has a card with the universe in the palm of the palm, and the combat effectiveness is comparable to the source of the Star Fortress, self-protection is not a problem. But it is better to develop peacefully. Moreover, if a real fight breaks out, it will demonstrate the power of the high-dimensional fortress and the origin, which is comparable to a Star Fortress. This will make the advanced civilizations more vigilant, and will definitely lead to the awakening of several advanced civilizations, and destroy the human star race in its infancy. Chapter 364, Natural Disaster Invasion of the High-Dimensional Boundary Breaker. However, if it is not possible to go south, there is no problem going north, to unify the northern end of the spiral arm. On the day after signing the national book with the high civilizations of the high school, Li Qing ordered the fleet that had already been assembled to prepare to go north. He did not have the past, just chaired by the two gods of Sabatis and Sales. Now the main force of the northern six nations has been annihilated, according to reconnaissance by the Sentinel Array. After defeating the main force of the six-nation coalition more than a year ago, the fleet split up after it jumped back. In the case of the collapse of everyone's main force, self-protection is not enough. How can there be effort to save you? Several small civilizations located in the Alpha Star realm broke the defense on the spot after the human beings were promoted to high civilization. The first batch of envoys came over to want to be human beings, but Li Qing refused to meet. If you have hit the shelf, you see and hit it again. Dream. Those civilizations in the northern end of Yingxiangshuan arms must be destroyed in Li Qing's plan. It is not necessary to completely extinct civilization, but the main body of civilization must be destroyed. If the remaining, you can choose to go to other places, or you can choose to become the second or third level vassal of the human star. The reason why it is not killed is mainly because the ancients of extremely close to high civilizations hate the extinction. If we kill them all, it will easily disgust them and cause more trouble. The situation in the north of Yingxiangshuan arms was handled by several gods, and he was sitting in the center of the town and began another important task. Over the past 20 years, Li Qing has accumulated a large amount of static light of immortal level negative star players, and can create 23 immortal level negative star players in one go. In addition, the light of the negative star players can enlighten one immortal level negative star player every month. In 20 years * 12 months. A total of 240 immortal negative star places. He is going to choose a group of elites from the Empire to transform into an immortal negative star. The targets are basically selected from within the palm-held universe, with priority given to the original servants of light. The reason why they do not choose from humans is that the Star Lords, or Lords of the Star Sea within humans are mainly their identity. Lord Xinghai is eligible to establish a new civilization inside any centralized civilization. Lord Xinghai and the military owners have a very high status. Even if they do nothing, power and status need to be guaranteed. No civilization can guarantee that its civilization will continue to exist once an accident occurs to a civilization. These Star Lords and Star Navy Lords will take the spark of civilization and escape from the enemy's pursuit, and establish a new human civilization in the galaxy or extragalactic galaxy. To put it plainly, they are preparing for fire. If they were converted into servants of light, and if humans were defeated by other powerful civilizations in the future, they would be wiped out entirely due to the connections between the servants of light, and would not be able to escape at all. Of course, the transformation of ordinary negative star is given priority. This time, Li Qing left the opportunity to the first of his own men, just as he transformed the negative star in the palm of his hand, while he was planning to build a large-scale shipbuilding core of several affiliated galaxies in the palm of the hand. A star domain in the middle section of the Milky West Horse Rota Anto suddenly appeared a strange quick child signal. The tachyon signal came from the subspace, and was very weak at first. Even a small fleet from the Odo player civilization passing through this galaxy did not detect it. As time went on, the special signal began to grow stronger, and was soon discovered by passing player fleets. But they didn't do anything at first, thinking it was some special event, which attracted many player teams to come and observe. Then, The signal became stronger and stronger, until the space began to distort and became transparent. They could vaguely see the endless shadow of the fleet behind the transparent space. And then, they realized that something was wrong. What fleet is this? An Odo military commander in this star field received the news. He was stunned when he saw the huge fleet stretching as far as the eye could see behind the transparent space. He immediately uploaded the news to the Supreme Council of the Odo civilization. A powerful Star Sea Lord saw this scene. His pupils suddenly shrank, and a trace of fear involuntarily appeared on his face. How could this happen? This is a higher dimensional invader from the subspace. Immediately, the military leader asked, "What are high-dimensional invaders? How can this be?" He murmured a few words, and said in a heavy voice, "The high-dimensional invaders are a covenant established in ancient times by several super-immortals deep in the warp. They created a huge warp fleet that invades the real world every once in a while to harvest the souls of intelligent species, and exterminates all species wherever they go." Having said this, he suddenly raised his head and said to the other Star Sea Lords, "We need to mobilize the entire country immediately and prepare the Spark Plan. We also need to report this matter to the Sovereign and request support from the Sovereign." Is it so serious? I think although the fleet after that space is huge, but very serious, because the high-dimensional invaders are too powerful. What you see now is just a vanguard fleet, and there are at least 10 such vanguard fleets. When the vanguard fleets gain a firm foothold, the main force of the high-dimensional invaders will begin to descend, and that is a continuous subspace fleet. If the high-dimensional transmission channel is permanently closed before the main force of the high-dimensional intruder, the continuous subspace fleet will be full of the entire galaxy, and all civilizations will be extinct. Speaking of which, he paused. Shinshan said, "If the majority of the high-dimensional invaders arrive, even advanced civilizations will be unable to resist." Everyone was shocked, and then passed a resolution with super-fast efficiency, starting the highest level of mobilization of the entire civilization. Then, the news about the appearance of high-vitality invaders spread throughout the galaxy. Before other civilizations responded, the pioneer fleet of the first wave of high-dimensional invaders successfully broke through the space and appeared in the material universe. At the moment when the high-dimensional intruder appeared, all the powerful spirituals of the entire galaxy could feel an extremely greedy and evil will to sweep the entire galaxy. Ordinary psychics were not very clear about what was happening, but those super psychics could clearly sense the undisguised terrifying evil aura in the direction of the Sagittarius arm of the Milky Way. Li Qing also felt the unscrupulous evil will through the mental matrix from the negative star, and quickly came out of the palm of the universe. High-dimensional invasion. Li Qing squeezed his eyebrows, and communicated with his sister Yu Yao, who stayed in the virtual realm all year round. "You know it, don't you?" Yu Yao nodded and replied, "I knew it a long time ago." Not long ago, a powerful being summoned a large number of Void Realm beings. And I guessed it. Did they look for you? That's a third-level Void Realm child. I don't dare to respond. Li Qing. After a little silence, Li Qing suddenly asked, "Do you want?" She thought a little and answered, "I want to, but I don't dare. Just think about it." Li Qing thought for a while and said, "This is an opportunity for us. To you, to me, and for the entire human civilization. Given the current chaos in the galaxy, it is impossible to assemble a fleet to destroy the transmission channel in the first place. By the time the two advanced civilizations realize the danger and react, the high-dimensional channel will have stabilized, and the main force of the high-dimensional invasion will have entered the galaxy. By then, it will definitely be a very long war. This is both a crisis and an opportunity for the human star. When the war drags on, and we have accumulated a certain amount of strength, not only can we gain enough reputation in this crisis, but you can also seize the opportunity in this crisis and be promoted to the third-level advanced son of the virtual realm in one fell swoop. With the authority of a high-level son of the void realm, we can quickly enable all humans to complete the spiritual ascension. By then, when the transformation of the descendants of light is completed, it will be the time for the destiny of the entire human race to ascend again." Yu Yao laughed after hearing. "I think so too. So, let's use this crisis to start the second stage of the human star family soar." A few words in a short sentence. The couple easily determined the fate of the hundreds of millions of races of galaxy. Their decision will cause the galaxy to not know how many races will be extinct. But this may also make the human stars go further. As the son of a virtual realm, they are very clear about the truth of the so-called high-dimensional invaders. And what other powerful spirituals know. Galway invaders are a natural disaster fleet that harvested the smart biological soul of the universe in the subspace. However, in the eyes of the son of the virtual realm, the so-called high-dimensional invaders are only games that harvested the soul of the fourth-order virtual realm. Yes, the leaders behind Galway invaders are the sons of the virtual realm. And the level is up to 4 levels. It is also the son of the highest level in theory. After the son of the void realm reaches the 4th level, the road ahead is blocked. The 4th level is the highest level of the son of the void realm at this stage. To be precise, the son of the void realm at this time is not called the son of the void realm, but the lord of the void realm. After the son of the virtual realm reaches this order, regardless of personal strength or authority in the virtual realm, it can be called the master, and each one is the hegemon of one party in the virtual realm. But they were not reconciled and wanted to go further. But the road had broken. Yu Yao is now only a 2nd-level virtual realm child, and she has just been promoted not long ago. She knows that the 2nd level can be promoted to the 3rd level, but she does not know the conditions for the 3rd level to be promoted to the 4th level. And it is even more impossible for her to know what conditions are required for the 4th level to be promoted to the 1st level. But since the high-dimensional invaders were created by the union of multiple 4th-level sons of the void, we can guess that at that stage, the sons of the void may no longer need to kill each other. However, it can also be guessed that these 4th-order virtual sons unite to set up high-dimensional invaders, which is likely to be the next way to promotion. Of course, the above has nothing to do with them. They are the 2nd-order virtual realm now. They can't consider too long. They only need to consider how to promote the 3rd-order virtual realm. At this time, Yu Yao had a plan, which was to hunt down a subspace master among the high-dimensional invaders in order to forcibly promote herself to the son of the 3rd-level virtual realm. Anyone who can be called a ruler must be a super-level immortal who surpasses the upper-level immortals. That is, a super-existence with a psychic power strength of more than 1 billion. There is no such galaxy in such a super. Even though Li Qing is now promoted to the Lord of Negative Stars, and has grown for another 20 years. His psychic power strength is only over 400 million, which is still far from the psychic power strength of over 1 billion. However, this is the basic spiritual energy. If the 200% bonus of the remedies is added, his spiritual energy has exceeded 1.20 billion, which has already spanned the threshold of the Sergal. Although he is only the last among the super-level immortals, he is still a super-level immortal. In addition, as the master of the negative stars, he can borrow the power of all the negative stars. And he can also hold the universe in the palm of his hand, and borrow the power of the universe in the palm of his hand. In other words, this is his bottom line. No matter how bad the situation is, he has the ability to save his life. If the situation collapses again, it can also escape some human star clan without the destroy. Making this decision with his wife, Li Qingwen made a series of tasks. The Northern Fleet accelerated its offensive speed, but the internal expansion of the empire slowed down, and began to choose a group of elite professionals to gather from the country, and first sent it to the cosmic universe. At the same time, the Empire Sentinel Array observed the civilized territory of the Human Horses Arms AO duo player, especially the galaxy of the high-dimensional invaders. But soon the Imperial Intelligence Department responded that the galaxy where the Galway breakthrough was located was blocked by an unknown force, and could not be observed. Li Qingwen broke the light of the civilized artifact's negative star. The moment the civilized artifact opened, Li Qing felt that his consciousness rose rapidly, and soon entered another level overlooking the entire galaxy. With a thought, his eyes fell on a twisted star field in the Sagittarius arm to the west of the Milky Way. According to the perception from the Son of the Void, this star field has begun to overlap with the subspace. The invasion of the power of the subspace has distorted the rules of the starry sky, making it impossible for the Sentinel Array to penetrate this layer of subspace distortion and observe this starry sky. But it can stop the Sentinel Array, but not the artifacts of civilization. Li Qing's eyes penetrated this layer of distortion without hindrance, and saw the What a huge fleet! In this distorted starry sky, there are densely packed invading fleets. The fleet of the high-dimensional boundary breakers has a very strange appearance, but it roughly maintains the appearance of a warship, except that the material is transparent throughout, as if it were made of transparent crystal. In fact, this is a ship's hull constructed from the materialization of subspace energy. In other words, the warship of the high-dimensional boundary breaker has no hull or armor, only 2 layers of energy shields. The inner materialized energy layer is called the psychic barrier. The outer layer is the common subspace energy shield, which is commonly known as the psychic shield. The psychic shield is different from the common energy shield. As a special energy in the virtual world, the penetrating technology and energy in the normal material universe cannot penetrate the psychic shield. In other words, the battleship shield of the high-dimensional boundary breaker will not be penetrated by special penetrating weapons. The materialized psychic barrier is even more powerful. Not only is it impenetrable, but even weapons and modifiers that deal additional damage to energy shields are ineffective. That is to say, after breaking through the psychic shield, any weapon can only cause basic damage to the psychic barrier, and all additional modifications including aura modification bonuses will not take effect. Chapter 365, Beware. There are two types of warships of the high-dimension boundary breakers. One is the conventional model, which is divided into escort ship type, dreadnought battleship type, and lost titan type, just like the advanced civilizations. On the other hand, the weapons technology level of the high-dimensional boundary breakers is comparable to that of advanced civilizations. To be precise, the technological level of the boundary breaker, when it first breaks through the boundary and descends, is equivalent to the dark matter technology. But if the boundary breaker enters the material universe for too long, more of its power will be projected from the subspace. As we all know, the high-dimensional boundary breakers are not real entities that descend, but the entities that project their power and high-dimensional warships through the subspace channel. The stronger the projection, the greater the power. Theoretically, if the high-dimensional boundary breakers can occupy more than half of the galaxy, the power they project will reach the level of 7th-order dark energy technology. This is also the theoretical upper limit. The limit of the boundary breaker is level 7. It is impossible to break through this level and advance to God-level civilization, which is another level. Another strategic model of the high-dimensional boundary breakers warships is a behemoth composed of psychic energy with specifications even larger than those of war stars, called the high-dimensional destroyer. The high-dimensional destroyer is not a living being, but an ultimate weapon built by the creator of the high-dimensional boundary breaker using the energy of the subspace combined with real-world technology. It is piloted by an immortal-level subspace being, thus exerting an incredibly powerful force. This thing is made of psychic technology, and its combat power is far stronger than that of ordinary war stars. It usually serves as the combat core and command flagship of the high-dimensional boundary breaker fleet. The vanguard fleet of the high-dimensional boundary breakers is generally composed of 10 high-dimensional destroyers and 10,000 high-dimensional fleets equivalent to the standard division level. Li Qing roughly scanned the galaxies in this distorted star field and quickly figured out the scale of the vanguard fleet of the high-dimensional invaders. The result made him slightly solemn. There are 10 high-dimensional fleets in total. This means there are a total of 100 high-dimensional destroyers and 100,000 level 6 dark matter technology dreadnought fleets, which are equivalent to advanced civilizations. It's so huge. It seems that either the Fianu Resurrection Empire or the Eldar Guides are slightly inferior to it, and the combined efforts of the two are likely to suppress it. But this is only the vanguard fleet of the high-dimensional boundary breakers, and there is an even larger formal invasion fleet behind them. It feels like there's a chance of a rollover. Li Qing was hesitating whether to give up the plan and destroy the passage before the high-dimensional boundary breaker arrived completely. Anyway, I can complete the plan by just staying here. It just takes a little longer. For an advanced civilization, 10,000 years is just a moment in the scale of civilization. So there is no need to rush. Just as Li Qing was hesitating, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs suddenly received a communication from the Supreme Emperor of the Fionnio Renaissance Empire through the Sentinel Array. Li Qing put aside his hesitation and connected the communication first. The tall figure of Supreme Emperor Fionnio appeared in front of him. As soon as the call was connected, the Supreme Emperor began to speak. Supreme Leader of the Human Star Clan, I believe you already know that the Sagittarius Arm Odo civilization has discovered high-dimensional invaders. As a newly promoted advanced civilization, you may not know the danger of these high-dimensional invaders. I need to solemnly tell you that this is a group of very dangerous evil beings in the subspace. I have just exchanged views with the leaders of the Blog Ancients, the Servanti Guardians, and the Theodian Recorders. We have unanimously decided to destroy the invasion channel of the boundary breakers before their main force enters our world. Li Qing, has the decision been made before me? Li Qing's expression did not change, but he felt a little unhappy in his heart. It is obvious that although the human star race has been recognized by them, it has not been fully recognized. In their hearts, the human star race at this time is not qualified to be on an equal footing with them. But he had nothing to say, not even an expression of dissatisfaction. He could only continue to smile and speak to Supreme Emperor Fionnuo. Now the blog ancients and the Theodian recorders have promised to send a fleet to cooperate with us. You also need to dispatch a fleet and meet up with the Theodian recorders at the western border within half a month. Li Qing listened with a smile and asked, "Don't you need support from other civilizations in the galaxy? Also, do you want the Cervanti Guardian?" Before he could finish his words, he was interrupted by Supreme Emperor Fionnuo. The Cervanti Guardians have more important guarding tasks and cannot be transferred. What about other civilizations? Those weak civilizations don't need to take action. We have an obligation to ensure the safety of the galaxy. Li Qing rolled his eyes in his heart and asked again, "What about Instructor Ada? If we transfer the main force away, will he?" "Don't worry." The Supreme Emperor of Noah waved his hand and said, "According to the Galactic Crisis Regulations, when a natural disaster that threatens all intelligent life in the galaxy strikes, all civilizations must immediately stop any form of war. No war of any kind is allowed until the natural disaster is completely eliminated. So, the war of the human race in the northern part of the Perseus Arm must also stop. Okay. There is nothing to say about this. Even the war in heaven has to be suspended. Let alone him. But the so-called Galactic Crisis Act. Li Qing had never heard of it. It seems that they don't necessarily recognize the human star race. Li Qing inexplicably felt a sense of vigilance. Judging from their words and actions, they do not regard the human race as being in the same class at all. Perhaps it is possible that humans are too weak and too young. At the same time, they have no obligation to tell these secrets. So it is normal for them not to tell. But people should have a mindset of crisis. Perhaps there is indeed no obligation to inform. Or it may be that human beings are too weak. But it does not rule out that they do not put humans on the same level. We absolutely cannot rule out the possibility that they just want to stabilize the human race temporarily. And once Fionnuo's Revival Empire defeats the Ida leader, it will be time to deal with the human race. If this is the case, after disconnecting the communication, Li Qing stood there in silence for a long time. Finally, he let out a sigh, turned around and left. I had been thinking about whether I should try to destroy the channel of the high-dimensional invaders and stop their main force. But now it seems I'd better forget it. The galaxy's territory and political power had already been divided up by the 4 advanced civilizations. Even the Ida leader, who was once one of the most powerful people in the galaxy, was not allowed to rise again after his decline. It was simply a dream for a new advanced civilization like him to want to get a piece of the pie. Since normal rise doesn't work, let's try another way. Allow the high-dimensional boundary breakers to invade and allow natural disasters to break the existing structure of the galaxy. And naturally they will take advantage of the situation behind the scenes. Only when the old pattern is broken and 1 or 2 advanced civilizations are eliminated will newcomers like him have room to survive and gain the highest power in the galaxy. 2 days later, Li Qing convened the Supreme Council of the Empire to convey the resolutions from the Fionnuo Renaissance Empire and several other advanced civilizations, and ordered the Northern Coalition forces of the Empire to stop the attack and prepare to withdraw. Leave about 20,000 full-level reinforcement divisions in the north, and all the remaining fleets are transferred back. Do not return to the original station, and gather directly in the south. A total of about 30,000 level 5 or 6 reinforced standard divisions, 10 mobile battle stars, and more than 2,000 large and small mobile fortresses were assembled. In short, all fleets below level 6 were incorporated into it to form a super-complex mixed fleet. After that, he will also search for the remaining conventional civilized battleships from the folks, and then set up a second fleet to support it. Anyway, the human race no longer builds warships of conventional civilizations, so these will become antiques in the future. It's a good opportunity to deploy them all as cannon fodder during this operation, just as a way to clear out inventory. As for whether it will be lightly regarded by other higher civilizations, anyway, I have been looking light anyway, and I haven't even entered their eyes at all. The first fleet assembled quickly, and then used the hyperspace network opened up by the Imperial Civilization's artifacts to quickly teleport to the Tianjin star field, the southernmost part of the Empire, and then began to jump south. The first teleportation location is exactly within the territory of the Kelzaka Star Empire, although it is looked down on other higher civilizations. After all, It is recognized as a new high civilization. The territory of other conventional civilizations must be open to the human star during non-war. In other words, as long as there is no war, all interception systems within any conventional civilization are not allowed to intercept the human star clan's fleet and allow them to pass. If it is prohibited, it will be regarded as a provocation. And the advanced civilization that is prohibited from passing will be entitled to directly punish the target civilization, including through war. After 20 years of development, the hyperspace network opened up by the light of the negative star has now expanded to the entire Perseus arm and the outer ring area on the north side of the Milky Way disk. In this area, the fleets of human civilization can teleport and jump at will with the help of the hyperspace network. Compared with normal jump engine jump, this kind of hyperspace network transmission not only has a faster transmission speed, but also a shorter engine charging time. The normal transition engine requires at least 15 minutes. Like the flagship Fortress, it takes at least half an hour to charge the energy time, and it takes only 1 or 2 minutes to use the Ultra Space engine to start the transition. In addition, you can also choose to send to the position of the galaxy. If the normal transition engine is transmitted to the galaxy, if the induction field is not put down in advance, the default landing point is the edge of the galaxy well. The Ultra Space Network can freely choose the fall point, whether it is the edge of the gravitational well, or the inside of the galaxy, or even cooperate with the Sentinel array, and can be transmitted to the specific position without inducing the force field as a beacon. It took the fleet only half a month to reach a star system on the border of the Theodian recorder. Then Li Qing didn't pay attention to it. This batch of mismatched things were just sent to be killed to clear out the inventory. No matter how they are arranged, it would be better to make more preparations instead of wasting time. Next, he went to the outermost edge of the Zutter star field and began to collect stars and store matter on a large scale. The next shipbuilding plan has a very high demand for various metals. In addition, he is preparing to build an Alderson pan inside the palm, which requires massive materials. He plans to select a satellite galaxy and build a super Alderson disk in it. In addition to a large quality star in the central government, it will be settled in the Alderson pan, and it will also rotate the surface of the rail surface of hundreds of millions of kilometers on the orbit of the central disk of the old sun pan in the large and livable world of this scale to provide light and energy for the upper and lower sides of the supergiant. Plan the internal construction and development of the palm-sized universe. Host large-scale construction ships. Host human star senate. Preside over the construction and development of the 5 major star regions of the human race. Point for the development direction for the development of civilization. This is the daily task of the supreme leader of the human star clan. It seems like a lot, but in fact, he only needs to grasp the personnel and military power, and everything else can be handed over to officials at all levels. A month later, Li Qing, who was collecting stars in the Zutter star field, stopped and activated the light of the negative star. His consciousness quickly rose, and he looked down at the Milky Way, his eyes falling on a star field in the middle of the Sagittarius spiral arm. Calculated according to time, the high-level civilization forces should launch an attack on the Breakfield star domain of Galway invaders. When his eyes were quickly attracted by several exceptionally bright galaxies in that star field, his gaze quickly fell into this galaxy, and what he saw was a blazing flame covering the entire galaxy. When he saw the wreckage of warships burning in the raging flames throughout the galaxy, Li Qing couldn't help but smacking his lips. So tragic? He arrived a little late, and the coalition forces had already started fighting with the Boundary Breakers' vanguard fleet. The exact scale of the war is unknown, but judging from the scale of the wreckage all over the galaxy, the brutality of this battle is probably beyond imagination. There are no fleets in the galaxy, because the warships of the broken world are composed of spiritual energy entities. Once the damage is damaged, it will collapse and decompose into a spirit can disappear. It is impossible to have wreckage. Li Qing withdrew his gaze and quickly checked several other galaxies. He found that the debris was slightly smaller than the first one, but the stars were also destroyed. It is obvious that the first galaxy was the collision area between the main forces of the two sides, and then the Boundary Breaker side lost and collapsed, which resulted in the wreckage in several other galaxies. If the broken world wins, there will be no traces of war. Continuing forward, in the 6th galaxy, Li Qing saw 2 fleets fighting in the center of the galaxy. A fleet came from the coalition forces and had an absolute advantage. He could even see the cannon fodder fleet he had sent out. It's quite magical. After several large-scale decisive battles, This group of cannon fodder has not died out yet. There are still about 7,000 to 8,000 left. However, the more than 2,000 mobile fortresses of various sizes have been destroyed. The coalition forces directly used mobile fortresses to block the enemy's ultimate weapons and main guns, and suffered heavy losses after several battles. In addition, 10 battle stars also sank and there were 6. These 10 war stars are also here to get killed. These 10 battle stars are all defective. Either their builders are not skilled enough, or they are directly transformed from planets. By installing thrusters on a fixed fortress planet, it becomes a mobile battle star. In addition to being hard enough, these war stars are so hard enough, it is too difficult to convert it to the battle stars that meet the standards of high civilization. However, after all, it is so big that thick skin and flesh are not enough to describe it. Even though it has been charging at the front since the beginning of the battle, it has only sunk 4 SHLs so far. Li Qing didn't pay too much attention to these. After checking his own side, he quickly checked the current situation of the boundary breaker. Chapter 366, Inexplicable Defeat. This world breaker. Isn't his name really worthy of its name? Although the scale was quite large and aggressive at first, the result was that the Kung Fu was beaten back in this way. Seeing that the residual fleet was definitely unstoppable, it would definitely not be able to stop the coalition forces. It is estimated that it would be able to hit the galaxy of the broken boundary channel for 10 days and a half months. Natural disasters. Natural disasters. Li Qing thought how terrible. But that was that? He was a little disappointed. This means that the previous thoughts have been soaked, and then they still have to be low-key. Well, Li Qingqing sighed. If possible. Who would want to hide all the time? Who doesn't want to show off and fly around everywhere? But what can you do if you are not as strong as others? He didn't continue looking and looked away. It is not that he is not interested in the last battle, but that the coalition forces will attack at least a week near the channel. And don't keep staring all the time. Retracting his gaze, Li Qing pondered for a moment, and finally shook his head. It seems that you still have to rely on yourself. With a thought, Li Qing communicated with all the negative stars through the mind matrix, uploaded the current situation to the mind matrix, and left a task for the negative stars to discuss. There is strength in numbers. Each of the negative star people is extremely intelligent. Let's pool everyone's wisdom and see if we can find a suitable way to break the impasse. Then, Li Qing came to the largest garrison base located in the Ezar star field. Open the universe in your palm and start gathering the fleet. Just as he was preparing here, there was a strong space fluctuations in a certain drone galaxy in the southwest of Epan. Soon an extremely large fleet leapt over. This fleet has a strange appearance, and each huge war star looks like a living creature. If there are familiar people here, they will definitely recognize that these are biological war stars of the swarm civilization. The fleet stayed here for about a day, and then another fleet jumped in from the galaxy. The second jump came from a slightly smaller conventional fleet, but it was mixed with a group of dreadnought fleets. If Li Qing is here, he will be surprised to find out how the shape of these fearless ships is exactly the same as himself. If someone who doesn't know the situation here, they might think that the human race is here to carry out some mission. 2 huge fleets gathered here and recompiled into a fleet, and it didn't take long for the operation. On the other hand, where would Li Qing know what happened to the west of the silver plate outside 100,000 light years? At this time, he was assembling the fleet. First, 636 7th-order dreadnought divisions. Then 1,076 6th-order dreadnought divisions flew out from the palm-held universe one after another. And then 8 mobile war stars, and about 10,000 regular divisions. Then the light of the final weapon dimension of the stars in the palm of the universe opened the light, which opened up to a large star as high as a star. Utilizing the newly restored function of the dimension converging light, another beam of light spurted out from the black hole gate. The beam to the designated cosmic starry sky paused. A light ball expanded rapidly, and quickly expanded to more than 1 million kilometers. The transparent light curtain exploded, revealing a huge, unbelievable super behemoth. The dimensional focusing light now can both cut and focus, and also release. It is no longer irreversible once used like before. The light of the previous dimension directly swallowed the universe of the 6 coalition forces to the universe in the palm of their income. Now they have already sent the army to land, winning the fleet and the 8 battle stars. The exaggeration of the current source attribute is astounding. Li Qing has never seen the attribute of the star fortress, but he feels that the attributes and combat effectiveness of the current source are definitely not inferior to the Star Fortress. Star Fortress, the final strategic war weapon, has the power to suppress the national games. It's just an attribute, but it's an astronomical number. Mainly the power of this stuff is simply stunning. The common amendments and Halo are not mentioned. It is the enhanced version of the mobile Battlestar. What Li Qing is most concerned about is that some of the strong abilities that only comes with Star Fortresses. As a Star Fortress, there are only two places where he pays attention. One is weapons. One is gravity. The principle of a stellar fortress is to compress a star into the fortress, and then freely control the compressed star, including gravitational control. Literally. Just a simple sentence. Gravity control. Consumption of a lot of energy. Forcibly traction the trajectory of all non-war star objects. But when you actually put it into practice, you will find out how perverted this trick is. How perverted is it? Li Qingkai's Star Fortress directly spanned more than 30,000 light-years, and came to a fortress galaxy at the southern border of the Tanania Federation, and directly ignored the suppression and jumped in. When such a huge Star Fortress suddenly appeared in the galaxy, the entire galaxy was suddenly in chaos. The first reaction of the defenders stationed in the fortress was not to assemble, but to be in chaos. Some wanted to assemble, while others directly fled outside. Li Qing stood in the control center of the source, and was a transparent stereo galaxy. It was the fortress galaxy in front of him. He stretched out his finger and tapped somewhere in the center of the galaxy. The next second, a transparent halo exploded in the real starry sky and spread in all directions at a speed close to that of light. At this time, there was no major change in the astrological air. But when the halo spread to the gravitational well on the edge of the galaxy, the transparent halo stopped expanding and quickly contracted inward, and quickly returned to the original spread. 1 second later, the steep shock swept by the aura, an unimaginable gravity flooding at the point where the aura appeared. The entire galaxy and the starry sky were affected by the transparent halo, and everything was attracted by the gravity, and quickly shrank towards that point. It was as if a bottomless hole suddenly appeared on the calm water surface, and all kinds of aquatic plants and dust floating on the water surface quickly slid towards the center, as the water flowed into the hole. It is reflected in reality, whether it is a battleship, a flagship, or a large and small flagship, or a dust in the starry sky, meteorite fragments, and even a small asteroid in the inner ring of the galaxy are also affected by gravity at this time, and quickly slide towards that gravity. From the perspective of God, Li Qing can clearly see that Xiaoxing's bringing hundreds of millions of meteorites has been trapped and deformed at this time, and a large number of meteorites slide to gravitational strange points. The stars in the center of the galaxy are affected by an even stronger gravitational force in an instant. A large amount of flames rise from the surface of the stars, turning into a column of flame that spans hundreds of millions of kilometers and heads towards the gravitational singularity. It didn't take long for all the soldiers in the Star Fortress to see a spectacular scene that made them unforgettable in their lives. Countless warships and meteorites came from all directions. The huge acceleration caused them to slide towards the gravitational singularity with enormous force. Countless meteorites and warships collided with each other and bathed in endless flames. A large number of warships were twisted and deformed, or even forcibly torn apart after continuous impacts. The Tananian Federation fleet stationed in this galaxy consists of only about 2,000 standard divisions, 2 war moons, and no mobile war stars. The gravity control of the conventional fleet facing the Star Fortress cannot be resisted at all. After just 5 hours, the location of the gravitational singularity had turned into a super-flaming lava sphere with a diameter larger than that of a stellar fortress. It was composed of a large amount of meteorites and warship wreckage, and flames spewed out from the cracks, burning fiercely. It's powerful. There is no other shortcomings except too time-consuming, but it can already be used as a new card killer. In this way, Li Qing will have 2 trump cards in his hand. This may be more confident with a high-level civilization. Yes, Li Qing changed his mind again. He originally wanted to consider the opinions of other advanced civilizations and stay calm. But what happened during this period made him alert. He felt that these advanced civilizations did not seem to really recognize the human race. At this time, I will only miss the chance. Just go all out and come clean. The comprehensive war can still be played, but there are 2 cards on their hands, and they have the ability to set off their tables. After the falling out, find an opportunity to shock them with a trump card, and then enter a stalemate phase until you are well prepared and have accumulated enough regular combat power. Then, these civilizations located at the northern end of Yingxiangshuan's arms need not be kept. While they react, they will be destroyed before they react, so as not to turn their faces in the future. They are supported by several high-level civilizations. Open the Star Gate. Li Qing gave the order in a deep voice. And the edges of 4 super frames, with a diameter of over 100,000 kilometers, in the 4 directions of the star fortress lit up, quickly forming a layer of vortex of light. With less, a contour raised in the waves of waves, and soon a routine mobile battle star drilled out of the vortex. The star fortress has not just 1 star gate, but 4, and each of them has a superstar gate of more than 100,000 kilometers, which can accommodate the entry and exit of high-level war stars, and can also accommodate the transmission of a large number of fleets at one time. It is worth mentioning that although the original source is a star fortress, the structure and appearance are different from the star fortress now built. A star fortress is just a specification model of a war weapon. The appearance and capabilities of each star fortress are different. There are no 12 mobile war stars, and the month of the 30-6 wars. But an overall structure. It looks like a 30-6-sided bonding sphere. Most weapons are concentrated on the shuttle surface, including a total of 360 final weapons. Among them, there are more than 100 common star blasters, more than 100 nova projectors, and more than 100 various strange new ultimate weapons, such as a neutron destroyed, death ray, nanoplague, nano-transformation, material crystallization converter, planet terraforming beam, hyperspace channel constructor. The most core ultimate weapon is called Tianqing conversion. The principle is to use the super strong gravitational field of the stellar fortress to forcibly attract all the planets, meteorites and other materials of all sizes in the entire star system, even including the stars in the center of the galaxy, to one point, and recondense a new supermassive body. Then, using the technology of this ultimate weapon, the core of the star can be replaced with a new super-large material body. This means abandoning the original core of the galaxy and creating a new core. This is naturally an irresistible disaster for the fleet and life planet in the galaxy. After all, the planet is integrated into the stars. How can it survive? Next, Li Qing used the origin as the core and continuously jumped within the territory of the Tananian Federation. Whenever he arrived at an important galaxy, he opened the Star Gate. A steady stream of fleets emerged from the Star Gate and launched a fierce attack on the enemy, who was completely suppressed by the Star Fortress. When encountering stubborn resistance, all kinds of starbursts and nova projections were launched indiscriminately, and the fleet swarmed forward. There was no decent resistance. The Tananian Federation itself was not strong, and its main force had been destroyed before. The remaining fleets in the country added up to less than 5,000 standard divisions, so they were no match for them. Chapter 367 Final Preparation. It only took Li Qing half a month to sweep across the entire Tananian Federation in one go. After confirming that the will of the human star clan had devoured the will of the Tananian civilization, Li Qing finally had time to open the civilization artifact, the Light of the Star Bearer, to check the battlefield in the Sagittarius arm. However, when he projected his attention to the galaxy that was observed last time, he found that the full galaxy was a densely dense fleet, and the scale was unreasonable. How is this going? Li Qing observed the nearby galaxies in amazement, and found that several nearby galaxies were filled with transparent fleets of boundary breakers. Isn't it the coalition forces? Right? This was beyond Li Qing's expectations. He remembered that the last time he saw it, the coalition forces still had the upper hand, and were about to attack the breaking boundary channel star system. It's only been half a month since I last checked. And the coalition forces are gone? Pinching his brows, Li Qing turned his gaze towards the galaxy where the boundary breaking channel was located. However, as soon as his eyes fell, he felt the entire galaxy was filled with dazzling spiritual energy that he could not look directly at. In the spiritual energy light that covered the entire galaxy, an extremely powerful will that Li Qing also felt at this time seemed to sense his presence and cast his gaze over. Li Qing's mind moved, and he did not retreat. He quickly mobilized the spiritual energy and will of all the negative star people, and with the bonus of the universe in his palm, he stared directly at them. Boom! A void shock. Li Qing's will directly collapsed. He groaned, stepped back and sat on the throne. An indescribable and terrifying spiritual energy exploded. The throne made of dragon scale alloy did not move at all, But the terrifying spiritual energy swept across the entire command center. Sparks instantly flew from all electronic instruments, and all the lights in the command center disappeared. The hall was dark. Li Qing sat on the dragon scale throne with his hands on the armrests, his eyes closed and not moving. The boundary-breaking galaxy in the Sagittarius spiral arm, far away on the other side of the Milky Way, was twisted by this shocking blow. An indescribable shock wave swept across the galaxy, and a large number of boundary-breaking warships shattered like glass and porcelain. The broken boundary channel began to deform, and a large number of broken world fleets, who were drilled from the broken passage, were squeezed and collapsed, until a huge transparent palm flew out of the inserted passage. The invisible fluctuation spread will stabilize the broken world channel that is about to collapse. Is there such a powerful being in this galaxy? Several distorted light balls that could not see clearly flew out of the broken line, and quickly simulated into a human form. They looked up at the starry sky, one of which said, "This galaxy is not as simple as we thought." "So, do you change the plan according to the original plan?" After a short silence, the voice rang out. "Stay with the original plan for now. Once the identity of the unknown entity is confirmed, we will decide whether to change the plan." It took Li Qing almost a day to fully recover, and his men followed his orders and began to collect intelligence. The intelligence had been gathered long ago, and now it was just being summarized. However, there was a diplomatic letter from the Fiona Revival Empire, and the Guardian of the Fiona Revival Empire, and the Guardian of the Fiona Revival Empire, and the Cosmova. "Your Excellency, this is an official diplomatic letter from the 4 advanced civilizations." Li Qing saw that the intelligence officer had a frown on his face, and looked a little worried. He took the official letter, with some surprise, and unfolded it. 4 figures emerged under the light curtain, representing the main races of 4 advanced civilizations. As soon as they appeared, the diplomatic representative of the Fianu Restoration Empire asked with disgust, "The supreme leader of the Human Star Clan, please explain the appearance of the Human Star Clan fleet in the fleet that is attacking the Guardians of Cervanti." Li Qing. He looked puzzled, but he immediately reacted and said, "Please wait a moment. Let me understand." Without caring about the expressions of the ambassadors, he turned around and flipped through the information said by his subordinates. Then, his expression became strange. Intelligence showed that the coalition forces were not defeated, but retreated on their own initiative. Originally, the coalition's offensive was going smoothly, with only 10 boundary breakers vanguard fleets. They were certainly no match for the combined forces of several advanced civilizations, and they attacked all the way outside the galaxy where the boundary breakers had invaded. But at this moment, a fire broke out in the backyard. An unimaginably large fleet suddenly appeared outside the Cervanti Guardians, and then directly attacked the Cervanti Guardians. Normally, any conventional civilization does not have the strength to break through an advanced civilization. Not to mention that the Cervanti Guardians, because the civilization needs to guard a superstar gate. Although they are in a corrupted state, they are not really corrupted, and their strength is no different from any awakened revived empire. In terms of true strength, the current Cervanti Guardians are stronger than the Fifuo Restoration Empire. However, most of their troops were guarding the superstar gate, and they had no time to spare. What's more crucial is that the fleet that attacked the Cervanti Guardians was larger and stronger than most people could imagine. And its leader was also beyond everyone's expectations. He was actually the Sarnoo devouring swarm that had disappeared for decades. This was beyond the expectations of many people. But what was even more surprising was that someone discovered a large non-swarm fleet within this Sarnoo swarm devouring fleet. This means that it's not just the Sarnoo devouring swarm that's involved in this crazy plan. There are other civilizations as well. And this civilization, the intelligence department of the Human Star Clan, observed back and forth through the Sentinel Array and made a surprising discovery. There were actually fleets from the Human Star Clan participating in this crazy assault fleet. Li Qing pinched his eyebrows, and his first reaction was conspiracy. No wonder the 4 advanced civilizations came to question me. After closing his eyes and thinking for a while, he opened his eyes and looked at the 4 ambassadors of advanced civilizations and said in a deep voice, "That's not us. Our main force is at the northern end of the Perseus arm. Your intelligence department can find that out. It's impossible for us to travel all the way to the western part of the Milky Way. Besides, we have no reason to do anything," the ambassador from the blog Ancient said in a bad tone. "But the fact is we have seen that you have participated," Li Qing said speechlessly. "It's just that the appearance is similar. Any civilization can change the appearance of a warship. This doesn't prove that we did it. But you can't prove that this wasn't done by the human Star Clan. Li Qing suddenly held his breath, felt a surge of anger, and felt very unhappy. The ambassadors left without much hesitation. But when they left a sentence that made Li Qing's face fall immediately. I think the human race is no longer qualified to maintain the order of the galaxy. From now on, the human race no longer has the qualifications to maintain civilized order. The projection disappeared, and Li Qing's expression became uncertain. Boom! After punching the armrest hard, the anger on Li Qing's face suddenly disappeared. He suddenly smiled, and then laughed continuously. It turns out that everything given by others is unreliable. In the end, you still have to rely on yourself. At this moment, Li Qing finally made up his mind. A month later, a manifesto from the Theodian Master spread throughout the galaxy. Theodian Recorder abandoned his previous seclusion policy and announced his return to the Milky Way. Theodian Overseer awakens. In less than 2 days, a second, almost identical declaration spread throughout the galactic civilizations. The blog ancients abandoned their previous seclusion policy and announced their return to the Milky Way. Blog Arbiter awakens. The last one to awaken was the Servanti Guardian, who was renamed the Servanti Vindicator after awakening. The 4 advanced civilizations have all awakened, and it is obvious that they feel that the current galactic crisis is too dangerous even for them. Whether it is the Ida Guides, the Human Star Clan, or the high-dimensional boundary breaker natural disasters, these are not something that the advanced civilization of the Fionu Revival Empire can withstand. They can no longer remain immune as they did before, and must rise again and cleanse the galaxy according to their will. The Human Star Tribe is also the target they are about to eliminate. If Li Qing had heard this news in the past, he would have been so worried that he would not be able to sleep or eat. But now, he is mentally prepared. Since the old overlords neither accept nor tolerate me, then I will pull them down, overturn the chessboard, reshape a new chessboard myself, and become the only chess player. Isn't this better than having a bunch of chess players crowding outside the chessboard and all wanting to play? Therefore, after several advanced civilizations declared their awakening one after another, he did not care what other civilizations in the galaxy thought, and continued to order the fleet to attack the civilizations in the northern part of the Perseus Arm. At the same time, an interception and interference system was built in the south of Tianjin Star Field at the southern end of the Perseus Spiral Arm, and a garrison was left there. Regardless of what is outside the Milky Way for the time being, the human race will only defend the Perseus Spiral Arm and take advantage of the turbulent situation in the outer Milky Way. In the Milky Way, with the awakening of the 4 advanced civilizations one by one, a large number of sealed ancient fleets have been salvaged and repaired one by one, and a large number of ancient seal creations have been restarted one by one. The strength of the 4 advanced civilizations is increasing rapidly. Correspondingly, they also abandoned the Sagittarius Arm and turned a blind eye to the boundary breakers wreaking havoc in the arm. Without the suppression of higher civilizations, the civilizations located in the Sagittarius Arm were in dire straits. They were no match for the boundary breaker fleet, and their territories fell one by one. Moreover, due to the characteristics of the boundary breakers, they can rely on rapid jumps in the subspace. A large number of boundary breakers' official fleets continuously jump through the blockades and interceptions, jumping into the depths of the defense lines of these civilizations, spreading in all directions, and cannot be intercepted at all. In just 2 years, 2/3 of the territory of the Odo civilization in the Sagittarius Arm was lost. 12 of the 16 Star Sea Lords were hunted down by the immortal-level boundary breaker lords, and 3/5 of the nearly 300 Star Sea Lords were completely killed. At this point, the Odo player civilization could no longer bear it, and announced that it would give up its territory. The remaining 4-star lords and less than 100 military lords fled to other areas of the galaxy with their remaining fire, hoping to avoid this disaster and start over in the future. At this point, the entire Centaur Arm was no longer able to resist, and the remaining civilizations had already prepared a retreat and had completely given up resistance. However, although the Centaur Arm has collapsed, there is still a lot of time before it is completely destroyed by the boundary breaker. Such a large spiral arm is tens of thousands of light-years wide, and nearly 200,000 light-years long. There is no telling how many life planets, or transformed habitable planets there are. There are also a large number of primitive civilizations that are unaware of the natural disaster. It will not be so fast for the boundary breakers to harvest all these planets. However, many people do not know that the reason why the boundary breakers are not so unrestrained is mainly because when they first descended, they and Li Qing's remote attack across most of the Milky Way made them feel a certain threat. They knew that there were super-level immortals in this galaxy who could pose a huge threat to them. So they restrained their temper and occupied one place at a time, instead of running around in the galaxy like before. As time goes by, the boundary breaker has been digesting the souls of billions of intelligent beings in the Centaur arm. The 4 advanced civilizations are making intensive preparations and accumulating strength. And the Ida Guide was also not idle. In addition to stepping up the construction of warships, the most important task was to merge the Ida Guide into the Xenar star cluster and then begin a comprehensive renewal of civilization. And the most important thing is the mechanical ascension of all people. Yes, the Kin All-Star cluster also wants all its people to ascend and be officially promoted to an advanced civilization like the human race. However, they did not choose to rise for national genes, but to choose the easier and more success rate of the national machinery. But easier is only relatively speaking. In fact, no kind of universal ascension is easy. The Xenar star cluster had never thought about universal ascension before, and had no preparation at all. Now they have to start from scratch. And it is estimated that it will take a long time. All in all, the galaxy is divided into 5 shares. The Calamity Breaker, for advanced civilizations, and their subordinate civilizations. Affiliated civilization headed by Ida, and the Adar star group. Human star clan. And some civilizations within the Orion arm that are far away from war. In addition, there is the Necrotter civilization hanging outside the galaxy, and the tentacles of the 7th Order Peak civilization that once defeated the civilization of the deceased. It's a complicated world. Li Qing stunned his tongue and turned into the universe in the palm. Time flies. The years pass by. 20 years have passed in the blink of an eye. 20 years later, Li Qing reappeared in the palm of the universe. The huge ultra-structured assembly center was pulled open to a huge space with a diameter of more than 130,000 kilometers, which was anchoring a giant mechanical Battlestar 003 mechanical planet. Well, that's the original name. Now after the successful transformation is successful, it has been renamed the Machinery Star to commemorate the Lord Sino. After years of modification, the current Sunluo has had its specifications reduced somewhat, from its original diameter of 120,000 kilometers to the current diameter of 100,000 kilometers. This is mainly used to adapt to the Origin's 100,000 kilometer high Stargate. The size of 100,000 kilometers can ensure that it can adapt to Stargate transmission, thus increasing its strategic importance. In addition, although the specifications are narrowed, the combat effectiveness of the Sino at this time is stronger than before, because the weapon accessories configured at this time are all 7-level dark energy technology. In the operation of 20 years, the human star has officially completed the analysis of the 7th Order dark energy technology. When dark matter technology was acquired a long time ago, there was no threshold for dark energy technology. As long as the 6th level dark matter technology was fully mastered, the 7th level dark energy technology could be directly reversed. Thousands of negative star people have worked hard for 20 years, so they must have mastered it. In addition, the successful transformation of the Sunluo Battlestar is just one of the good news. Another good news is that another star fortress has also been successfully built and is now assembled. Chapter 368, Destiny Ascension and Unlocking God-Level Civilization Technology, Grand Finale. This star fortress is not the same as the original source. The appearance is compressed by a huge framework. The 12 mobile war stars are fixed outside the framework. The month of the 30-6 war is fixed between the battle stars, forming a super united fortress. In addition, the current star fortress is just a basic framework. The 12 war stars and 36 war moons are just the foundation. More war stars and war moons can be added and welded on in the future. Theoretically, hundreds of thousands of mobile battle stars have become a super deformed war fortress. Relatively speaking, the ultimate theoretical combat capability of this star fortress is stronger than that of the Origin. However, the star door of this star fortress is only a high-level star door, and there is no superstar door with a height of 100,000 kilometers. At most, the conventional fleet is transmitted, which is weaker than the original source. But no matter what, the basis of this stuff is here, and the combat effectiveness is still extremely fierce. Li Qing named this completely independently built star fortress the Human Star Clan, which will serve as the main flagship of the Human Star Clan. The Origin was his flagship. In addition, the 123 battle stars started at the same time with these battle stars have also been completed one after another. And the crew will be equipped with the crew to the Ministry of Navy. Normally it wouldn't be this fast. But in recent years, humans have destroyed several civilizations at the northern end of the Perseus Arm and gained a large number of destiny points and civilization points to strengthen the high-dimensional fortress. Now, not only have a large number of areas been unlocked, but the shipbuilding speed has also greatly increased. So it can be completed within 20 years. A large number of destiny points strengthen the set of 7th level ships and weapons in the hands of the generals a full 100 times again. And a full 300 7th level fearless divisions could be built every year. 20 years. A total of 6,000 7th level fearless divisions were built. And a total of 20,286th level fearless divisions. At the very least, the 7th tier dark energy technology can easily take on 20 to 36 tier dark matter technology dreadnoughts. With the bonus of the full negative star commander and the servant of light commander, taking on 50 is not a problem. A 7th tier dreadnought division of around 6,400 can be compared to a standard 6th tier dark matter dreadnought division of more than 300,000. It is impossible for a war star to take on dozens at once, or even 10 at once. But a war star with full 7th level dark energy configuration can also easily take on several at once. With the source, the human star, and the 3 super strategic weapons of the Sunluo, the human star's strength at this time has caught up with any high civilization. Although the Milky Way at this time is more chaotic than it was 20 years ago, the overall changes are not significant. Those who broke the world basically digested the human horse's arms. The 4 advanced civilizations have also made preparations. The instructors of Ida have merged into the Chener star group and have begun to colonize the whole people's physical body to prepare for the ascension of national machinery. Human star tribes are still the British Cientian arms. The civilizations that do not belong to these major forces have been cleaned up one after another. The 4 major civilizations have respectively maintained the messenger of civilized sentient civilization to make them choose. Either join the Galactic Defense Alliance established by the 4 advanced civilizations, or become the enemy of the Galactic Defense Alliance. Although the 4 advanced civilizations, the human race and the Kinal star group, have hinted openly and covertly that they are enemies in different public occasions over the past 20 years. They have not taken any substantial action until they are ready. The Cervanti defenders among the 4 advanced civilizations need to concentrate on guarding the ancient star gate and basically have no time to spare. The remaining 3 advanced civilizations need to face 3 major enemies: the Boundary Breakers, the Human Star Clan, and the Chener Star Cluster. At the same time, their chances of success are not very high, and it is impossible to declare war before they are fully prepared. Moreover, even if they were well prepared, the first enemy they faced would still be the Boundary Breakers. After all, the conflict between the human race and the Zener star cluster is just an internal dispute within the Milky Way, while the Boundary Breakers are the great enemies of intelligent life. They didn't start a war, so Li Qing wouldn't be stupid enough to start a war. Anyway, they are not as good as the human star. The longer the time is, the more beneficial it is to him. Moreover, at this moment, they are already digesting the 7th level dark energy technology. Once the digestion is complete, they can directly start to master the 8th level god level technology without interruption. The only problem is that the spirit of the whole people can rise. Normally want to be promoted to the god level civilization, you must have any kind of people to rise 3 times in a row. That is, the 3 sections of the whole people. And then master a deity level technology that has no other civilization. But the human star clan doesn't need to go through so much trouble. As long as the national spirit can be risen and the genetic genes are merged into the descendants of light, they can immediately open the fate of civilization and promote the god-level civilization. Time passed. 5 years later, those who broke the world finally devoured all the wisdom species of the horse's arms and began to expand outward. A large number of broken breaking fleets rushed out of the junction of the rotary arm and silver disk, and a battle with the joint fleet, where the Galaxy Defense Alliance stationed there, was stalemate. In the 15th year, there were countless losses in the stalemate for 10 years. By using the method of virtual descent to control a large number of psychics from other civilizations, temporary coordinates were established outside the blockade line through sacrifice. A large number of small-scale boundary breaker fleets used the sacrificial coordinates to locate and jump, crossing the solid defense line of the Galactic Defense Alliance. Although the Galaxy Defense Alliance responded quickly, and quickly cleared the betrayal of various civilizations, there were still a large number of broken breaking fleet entering the Silver Plate area. Although these fleets have little impact on the line of defense, a large number of colonial stars, with not many defense of these ordinary civilizations and a large number of fleets, are still shaken by members of ordinary civilizations in the League. What's even more amazing is that these boundary breaker fleets sacrificed one colony after another, opened temporary passages through the virtual realm, and a large number of boundary breaker fleets transited through the virtual realm and summoned more fleets, since the entire galaxy has become confused. But this chaos has nothing to do with the human race. Indeed, there was a broken breaking fleet entering the human star through the virtual realm. But Li Qing collected thousands of negative stars in the entire civilization, and the power of the universe in the palm of the palm, forcibly killing the Lord of the Broken Man who presided over the virtual situation, forcibly crushing the virtual border channel. Since then, there have been no broken people who have broken the British Xianxian arm. In the 27th year, the Qin All-Star Group finally completely annexed the instructors of Ida and completed the rise of national machinery. All individuals in the entire civilization were Qin, and their consciousness was uploaded into mechanical bodies. They called themselves the Zener Final Defense Command and claimed to be the guardians of the galaxy. They united with their vassals to establish the Second Galactic Alliance, the Galactic Guardian Federation. It is worth mentioning that the affiliated aids of Zener's ultimate defense instructions contain Salno's dominance. I don't know what to experience. Salno dominates the concept of devastating destruction and has become an ordinary float-thinking civilization. On the contrary, the normal Ecos thinking masters have become more and more extreme in their behavior over the years. They used to be peace-loving, but now they are becoming more and more warlike and xenophobic. Most of the civilized individuals that were conquered and defeated ended up being destroyed. The Galactic Guardianship Union, which had completed its ascension and officially been promoted to an advanced civilization, assembled a huge fleet and began to clear out the boundary breakers located in the Shield Arm and east of the Milky Way, and each occupied one side with the Galactic Defense Alliance that occupied the Centaurs and Orions as well as the west, north, south, and part of the north of the galactic disk. In the 44th year, the civilization of Isabel players in the inner ring in the southeast of Impan announced they were ravaged by the boundary breakers, and also suffered heavy losses in the battle between the Expeditionary Zener Final Defense Command Coalition and the boundary breakers. Finally, Zener Final Defense Command destroyed the boundary breakers' capital planet with a star blaster while defeating them. The endangered Izarbabe could only give up the Foundation, and the surviving Star Sea Lord led several fleets to escape into the vast Star Sea and did not know the Travers. In the same year, the human star race completed the construction of the second batch of more than 200 mobile war stars. The Supreme Personnel Li Qing felt that his strength was sufficient, and he ordered the Isha civilization, which was expeditionary to the dwarf in the river, and was ready to open up a back road for humans. Led by the Human Star Clan, they assembled 200 mobile war stars equipped with all 7th level dark energy technology, more than 10,000 7th level dark energy dreadnought divisions, and 50,000 6th level dark matter dreadnought divisions, and attacked the dwarf galaxy through the ancient star gate at the northern end of the Perseus spiral arm. Although the Aisha civilization closed the ancient star gate through the other end of the ancient star door, the Human Star Clan, with complete dark energy technology, easily resolved and forcibly opened the ancient star gate. Entering the ancient star gate, the first river alien system appeared in front of the human star. At the same time, a fleet even larger than the human race had imagined appeared before them. In the 55th year, the human star race spent 9 years, and finally defeated the coalition forces of the Aisha civilization that were stationed at the exit of the ancient star gate in the dwarf galaxy outside the Milky Way. The next step is to eliminate the colonies of Aisha civilization in various dwarf galaxies one by one. As time went on, more and more boundary breaker fleets were destroyed, although the steady stream of broken breaking fleet enters the galaxy. As the two major leagues integrate all the civilizations of the Milky Way, the strength is highly concentrated, and the scattered broken bound fleet is difficult to resist the surrounding of superior strength. But during this period, countless civilized colonies were harvested by the boundary breakers, and their souls were taken away. As a large number of boundary breaker fleets were destroyed, the pressure was reduced. Zener, who was freed up, began to focus his final defense order on the territory of the Galactic Defense Alliance, which occupied at least half of the galaxy. They began to tentatively expand their territory, slowly eroding the territory of the Galactic Defense Alliance. The three advanced civilizations that were fighting with the main force of the boundary breakers had to abandon their offensive. Among them, the fleets of the Fianu Restoration Empire were all recalled to prepare for the provocation of the Galactic Guardian Federation. The situation in the entire galaxy immediately became tense. In the 61st year, as two fleets of the two alliances exchanged fire in a distant galaxy, the two alliances officially declared war. On one side is the ancient ruler of the Milky Way, and on the other side is the emerging advanced civilization. In order to fight for the dominance of the Milky Way, a battle in heaven involving the entire galaxy begins. Well, this is actually a continuation of the previous war in heaven. Fight. The better you play, the better. Li Qing sat on the golden throne with a smile on his face. A light curtain unfolded in front of him, revealing the galaxy where the two sides were fighting. And this is just one of the galaxies. The main forces of both sides, various vassal civilizations, and dozens of fleets are fighting in various parts of the galaxy. In addition, the boundary breaker fleets jump in from time to time, making the entire galaxy even more chaotic. In the 86th year, the Human Star Race Coalition in the Dwarf Galaxy broke through the capital of the Aisha civilization. In the 112th year, the Human Star Clan Coalition destroyed the last refugee fleet of the Aisha civilization and sacrificed the last Starseed Lord of the Aisha civilization, completing the demise of the Aisha civilization. At this point, humans have completely occupied this dwarf galaxy with a diameter of more than 20,000 light-years, and have begun comprehensive development. At the same time, Li Qing, the supreme leader of the Human Star Clan, issued a decree ordering the relocation of more than 90% of the civilians in the entire Perseus Arm to the dwarf galaxy in preparation for the spiritual ascension of the entire population. In fact, the agenda was prepared more than 100 years ago, and it is almost the most critical point to be prepared for more than 100 years ago. In the 127th year, Li Qing entered the Void Realm and ambushed somewhere in the Void Realm with Yu Yao. They took advantage of the moment when a Boundary Breaker Lord was using the power of the Void Realm to transfer the Boundary Breaker fleet. At this time, there are already tens of thousands of negative star people in the Human Star Clan, and the degree of restoration of the universe in their palms is far higher than 100 years ago. Li Qing borrowed the power of all the negative star people and the power of the universe in his palm, and with the assistance of Yu Yao, the son of the virtual realm, he killed a world breaker in one fell swoop. Then, Li Qing used his own psychic saint to refine this world breaker and transform it into a psychic saint of the Human Star Clan, thus starting the National Psychic Ascension Plan. A super-level immortal is a psychic saint, representing the will of the entire Human Star Clan, together with tens of thousands of immortals from the Human Star Clan. It can basically be guaranteed to be foolproof. More importantly, this psychic saint is also a fourth-level virtual realm master, who can easily withstand the will of the entire nation and the impact of the entire nation's will at that moment when their psychic energy ascends. It took 20 years to complete the full migration. In the 155th year, when the war in the Milky Way became increasingly intense, the human race quietly completed the spiritual ascension of the entire population in a dwarf galaxy hundreds of thousands of light-years away from the Milky Way. No civilization in the galaxy was alarmed. At the moment of psychic ascension, the national policy of descendants of light takes effect, and all humans automatically begin to transform. At the same time, the god-level technology that Li Qing had exchanged earlier can now be used. Star Guardian, similar to an escort ship. 10,000 civilization points. Star Hunting, similar to the fear of the fearful battleship. 50,000 civilization points. Star Incarnation, similar to the Titan Super Flag. 300,000 civilization points. Star God Fortress, similar to the Star Fortress. 2 million civilization points. Star God Aegis, similar to the Pioneer Fortress. Xingqing, 1.5 million civilization points. Negative Stargate, Super Stargate, can be transmitted across the river. Unlock the ultimate weapon, level 30 singularity control device, which can create singularities, annihilate singularities, and control the birth and death of the supermassive black hole singularity in the center of the galaxy. Unlock the ultimate weapon, space control system, which can cut and expand space at will, has enough energy to cut through galaxies and strike targets across billions of light years. Unlock the final weapon, dimension control system. You can tampering time and dimension at will, and strike the target on time and dimension. Is this the power of a god-level civilization? In the palm of his hand, Li Qinggao was at the core of the Star Witness of the high-dimensional fortress. Looking at the 3 ultimate weapons that had just been unlocked by the high-dimensional fortress, he waved his hand and ordered the fleet to assemble. Prepare to activate the dimensional control system. Location time: Galactic Calendar Year 10018. Positioning location: north of the inner ring of Galaxy Silver Plate. Deployed fleet: 100,000 standard Tier 7 Dreadnought divisions.